Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting. We're very glad you're with us today. It is January 7th. Happy New Year to everybody. Haven't seen anybody for a whole year haven't seen anybody since last year. So thank you for being with us today. Our agenda, we'll start out with success stories. I haven't heard of anybody landing, but if anybody has a success story, we'd be glad to hear it in just a couple minutes. We'll then have everybody put their 30-second introductions into the chat box. That way I can get that out to everybody this afternoon to see how you can help somebody else. We'll then go to our committee reports. We'll go about workshop, job fairs, the practice interview team, the interview success workshop, and then the career tip of the week. And then we'll have our main event, which today happens to be open forum. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just open up the Zoom chat window. For those watching on Facebook, please just enter any questions you have into the comment field, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2007, I took over leading and facilitating the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. This group has been around since the late 1990s. Hopefully in the next month or two, we can get back to meeting in person again. But for now, as we have for almost the last 2 years, we're on Zoom right now. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, and when we meet in person, I will have copies with me in person. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIT Crew, and you'll hear more about that in just a couple moments. Well, we'd like to start the meeting off with good news. Do we have any landings out there? Any landings? Unmute your mic and please let us know.
Got one, Jeff.
You have one, Mark? Please let us know.
There we go. I just put it in the chat. So, Sejoline Vassé-Chercot practiced with the practice interview on December 9th, I believe. And on January 6th, yesterday, she let us know that she landed with Misa Imports as a purchasing associate. So there you go. The claim to fame of Sejoline is she speaks 4 languages, and she's French. And I mean, I don't know how a wine importer could not hire her. So that's how it worked out.
Oh, well, congratulations to her. I know she's been part of this group and we've seen her here. So she'll be our first landing for 2022. We'll get her on the list this afternoon. So thank you. Anybody else? Any other good news to share from anybody? All right. Well, we will move on. What we'd like you to do now is, if you will, please open up the chat window. And in the chat box, we'd like you to put your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, and then 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. That way everything's put together in one little file, just like Jerry's already done. And what I will do is I will get all this information. I will put this into an email, put it copied to everybody, and send out this afternoon. That way you can, we ask that you take a look at the list and see who you can help. Do you recognize the name of a company on there, or any way that you can help somebody else in their job search? We really, really appreciate that, because, this is the only way we can really network right now. So, and feel free to reach out to these people and connect with all these people on LinkedIn also. So hopefully you're putting in your LinkedIn address if you have. So we'll put 30 seconds on the clock. And you have plenty of time to do it. Also, by putting this information in the chat window, this is what I use to update the roster with. So if you don't give me your contact information, I can't add you to the roster, and I won't be able to, if you happen to claim this for a workforce, as a workforce event, if in case they would contact me, I won't know that you were here. So please put your information in there. At least give me a name and an email address minimally. But you know, if you want to try to network with everybody, the best thing to do is give us a lot of information. All right, it's time to hear about job, career fairs, training, and workshops going on. Good morning, Happy New Year, Eldon.
Thank you, Jeff, and Happy New Year to everyone who's listening today. As Jeff said, my name is Eldon Zarinsky, and I'm here to provide you with information on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. This information comes from the calendar page of the website careerdfw.org, which is on your screen right now. The various colors represent different subject matter classes for different types of things going on in the area. And again, we're focusing on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. I do go through these things fairly quickly, so if you hear something that piques your interest, I would urge you to go to the calendar, click on the appropriate tab, click on the appropriate item, and you'll usually find more information and/or links to register or find out more about that particular event. All right, having said that, this week's career and job fairs. There's one virtual MLK Celebration Workforce and Community Opportunity Fair will be held Wednesday, January 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The MLK Celebration Job Fair is brought to you by the City of Dallas and the Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. There's multiple employers and community resources that'll be there, and there is a link on the calendar to find out more about that particular event. This week's special workshops or events. In person this time, as opposed to virtual, St. Jude Career Alliance in Allen, Texas. Their event will be held January 8th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. Jude Catholic Church, and that's at 1515 North Greenville Avenue in Allen. These meetings are held quarterly. There is a link on the calendar to find out more about that. Online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, or Kurt Vondemutter each week for an online session on LinkedIn. And there's a Zoom link to participate in that, or if you prefer, a Facebook link as well. Online again, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Wednesday, January 12th from 10 a.m. to noon. There's a link on the calendar to register for that event. It's hosted by Foster Williams, one of our local area recruiters. And if you don't know Foster, I would urge you to get to know him. He's a great guy. Also online, interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. You can now observe, this is new for 2022, you can now observe a practice interview from the pit crew each Wednesday. For Wednesday, there will be a virtual practice slot available at 1 p.m. that will be in webinar format. That means that observers will be allowed to view this session. Only the candidate and the panelists will be visible to the observers. When we start meeting face-to-face, this webinar will be streamed from Christ United Methodist Church where we will be meeting. And then the face-to-face practice interviews will be observable by online meeting participants. There's a Zoom link for this event and a career and a Facebook link as well. Excuse me, just a Zoom link on this one. I assume that Mark will have more to say about the new sessions coming up for interviewing.
Yeah, he will.
Good. All right, it's January, still unemployed, now what? 4 areas of your job search to concentrate on. Webinar will be held Wednesday, January 12th from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. This is a private event, however, but you can check the DFW calendar for other open to the public events. This one's online, the networking webinar, January 13th from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Join Career DFW and careerusa.org on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays from 1 to 2:15 Central for their networking seminar. There is a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate in that. And again, another private event, January, still unemployed, now what? 4 areas of your job search to concentrate on Thursday, January 13th from 4 to 5:30. So you can check the calendar for the open to the public events on that one as well. And that's it for this week.
Eldon, thank you very, very much. Those 2 groups I'm doing, I have a talk is one for a group in New York, and then on Thursdays a talk for the same talk for a group in Florida. So, you know, that's how I remember that I have to do things. If I don't put it on the calendar, I'll forget that I have to do these things. So that's why you see my events. All right, let's see here. Just as a reminder, if you know somebody who just lost their job, I know the unemployment numbers came out 3.9% total unemployment, 199,000, or they less than 199,000 jobs were created in the last week or whatever the reporting period is. But if you know somebody who just lost their job, please let them know about Career DFW and Career USA, 2 free websites that are totally free, just here to help you find your next great opportunity. All right, it's time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning. Happy New Year, Mark.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And there's the contact information. And I just need to report that I have now figured out how to get rid of glare off your glasses. Zoom will help you out with that. And I was wearing these when the boogie woogie was going on. I thought that was pretty appropriate. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. On Wednesday, last Wednesday, we did a practice interview with observers for the first time on Zoom, and it worked really well. So we're going to keep doing it. And when we start to meet face to face, we'll also stream them from the church where we meet. So this will be something that'll be available year round, as long as we have people who are willing to practice on Wednesday. So let me talk about the pit crew's schedule that's changing in 2022. We're going to have practice interviews on Tuesday evening, so starting at 5 o'clock, and that, you know, anybody can attend, but we decided to have some evening sessions so people who are employed have an opportunity to practice. And then we're going to have one on Wednesday afternoon and one on Thursday afternoon. So that's when the practice interviews will be available. Just says my internet connection is unstable. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So that's when practice interviews are going to be available. And don't worry about remembering that. If you just send me an email at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, then I'll send you back, you know, how to get involved in the pit crew. And what the pit crew is we're a group of volunteers. All of us have been hiring managers. All of us have been through job transition. About 90% of the volunteers are currently in job transition, but a few like me are retired, and so giving back during our retirement years. And we give you a very personalized and customized interview experience. So it's not generic in any way at all. You send a job description and your resume, and you let us know where you are in your interview process, you know, first round, second round, third round. And then we prepare an interview experience for you that's based on that information. And a lot of people, when they do their first practice interview, they're kind of surprised at how well how well the panelists are prepared. So we take this very seriously, and we'll give you feedback when you're done. You get a recording from the Zoom session, so you can watch yourself and see how you did. And we do them on Tuesday evenings, Wednesday afternoons, and Thursday afternoons. So that's the time slots that are available. When you're ready to practice, you just need to send that information in. Send that resume and job description in. Let me know what day you'd like to practice or what session you'd like to practice, and I'll set up a practice interview for you. The interviews actually take about 45 minutes, and then there's about 20 minutes of discussion, and with introductions like that, the whole how much time you need to schedule. And you send that information to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and don't forget, it's all free. Nothing that the pit crew does has any charge at all. It's all volunteer, but doesn't mean it's not professional. Pit crew also offers a one-way interview. So this is where you're interacting with a video recording session, and sometimes they give you the questions and sometimes they don't. You know, you may have to be a spur of the moment thing, but the pit crew has an offering where you can practice doing that. And if that's an interest to you, just send an email to me at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. There's my LinkedIn profile. I encourage you to link in with me as well. And just send me a brief message that said we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group. And I'll add you to my network, which is going to help you find, you know, contacts inside your target companies. And I think that's about all I have to say. Let me, a couple of other things, I guess. I am looking for more volunteers to add to the pit crew. So if you've been a hiring manager and you've had some job transition experience, then you're qualified to be a panelist on the pit crew. And it doesn't matter what industry you've been in, and there's no big time commitment. You volunteer when you're available. So if that's interest to you, again, just send me a note at dalspitcrew@gmail.com. We can have a conversation, and I can get you involved, get you on the mailing list so you'll know when interviews are available. And then you can start signing up. So that's the pit crew. It seems like there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't think of it. I'll get another chance. I really enjoy this session that we're having today. The open forum, I always get to learn about what's on your mind. So ask away, and we're not on the Wednesday session. We hope in the future to be able to allow the observers to participate by asking their questions at the end. This week we didn't do it because we weren't sure we were going to have enough time. So if you've come to this session to ask questions about that interview on Wednesday, then this is the place to do it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. All right, it doesn't look like Walt's with us this morning. If you want help with interviewing, just basic help, what Mark does in the pit crew is very formatted. It's trying to be as real as possible for a panel interview. What Walt does is they'll ask a question, they'll stop, they'll talk about it and discuss it. So he offers a free interview success workshop. It's on Tuesday mornings. You do need to sign up. He's going to give you that confidence on what you need to talk about and how you need to answer the question, and stop and analyze how you're saying what you're talking about. So as he likes to say, it's a learning without squirming. So if you'd like to schedule an interview with him, you can check out his Facebook or LinkedIn page, not his Facebook, LinkedIn page. And all the information's in the About section. Reach out to him at walt_glass@yahoo.com, and you can schedule an interview on Tuesdays. He does them every Tuesday in the morning. Let's see, no poetry today. All right, it's time to hear about the career tip of the week. Jerry Jones is with us this morning. Thank you very much, Jerry, for being with us.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. And 4 tips for researching a company before jumping into the interview. You may have spent hours perfecting your resume, and finally get that call from the employer to come in for an interview feels fantastic. But don't stop the hard work and start relaxing just yet. Taking time to do research before the job interview is a difference between winning the employer over and losing your shot at the job to someone else. Clearly, you should know some basics about the employer, like what they do, what they offer, who's their audience, where they have offices, and who are the key members of management. It also helps to know more about the individuals you'll be meeting with. Going into the interview armed with as much information as possible about the company helps serve 2 really big purposes. You'll be able to give an intelligent responses when the hiring manager asks you what you know about the company and your potential fit. You can use your knowledge of the company to put together some good questions for when it's your time to ask questions during the job interview. So here are some tips on where to go load up on the information about the company. First one is the company website. Companies put a lot of effort into their websites because they're great tools for promoting their brands and attracting new talent. Even the most basic company website offers some form of information to help you prepare for a job interview. Refer to sections like About Us to learn about the basics of the company, news, press releases to be informed about latest news and developments at the company, management, where you can become familiar with important names and see details of who heads the particular department you want a job in, and locations so you can see where the job or offices are located. Even if you're not in sales or marketing, you should also look over the sections of the website that talk about services, products, and partners. Secondly, the social media accounts. Not every employer will have a Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram account, but for those who do, They're easy resources to go through to pull a lot of information quickly. Through what they post and the tone of their postings, you can learn a lot about a company and its company culture. Photos and videos posted on those sites can also give you a sense of the dress code, work environment, and show you faces of important individuals. Job seekers should also use sites like Indeed and Glassdoor to see what the company's employees have to say about it. Third, LinkedIn is particularly helpful because it offers most of what other social media resources offer, but more. By this, we mean it can put you directly in touch with individuals at the organization. Read up on the individuals you'll be meeting with, like the HR manager, head of the department for this job you want, and other workers who may work in the same department. You can even search for people who used to be in the company and find that individual who might have held the job you are seeking. LinkedIn is much more than a professional social media platform, so you can expect its page to include business-oriented news that can help you prepare for the job interview. And fourth, online news, industry news. If you're looking to really impress, also read up on the industry news and know what's happening in the space so you can have an intelligent conversation. Employers are impressed by applicants who not only know its business, but about its market and competitors as well. It doesn't take a lot to come off prepared for the job interview with the various online resources readily available with information. Armed with the information, you are prepared to respond and ask good questions at the job interview so that you solidify the message that you are a serious contender.
Jerry, thank you very much. If you're interested in reading that career tip of the week, it's available. It changes every Saturday afternoon, but it's on the Career DFW and Career USA websites. Jerry, thank you for reading this week, for filling in.
You're welcome.
All right, lunch report. Due to COVID numbers going the wrong way, we're not going to organize lunch for the next couple of weeks. We want everybody to stay safe. So we will get back as soon as we can get back together. We will get back together. We'll start out with a couple lunches and then hopefully be meeting back in person. You know, I'm hoping the next month or two. But once again, you just don't know what COVID's going to do to affect everybody right now. Just coming up in a couple of minutes, we'll have our main event, which is open forum. We'll talk about whatever questions you have about your job search. I want to talk about upcoming sessions the next couple of weeks for the month of January. Next week, actually the next 2 weeks, we'll be talking about branding. Branding part 1, branding part 2, personal branding. How do you brand yourself? How do you recognize how to promote who you are? Fred Schlesinger was with us. He sort of leads off every year. The last several years, he's been our first speaker for the last couple of years to sort of head the new year off. So we'll talk about branding for the next 2 weeks, part 1 and part 2. And then on Friday, the last Friday of the month, on the 28th, Elizabeth Lyons will be with us. She's put together a brand new presentation about job seeking post-pandemic 2022. She's got some new statistics and what she sees. She's a recruiter, and she's going to share some information as far as what her company's doing and what she sees and what, you know, the people in the C-suite are sort of predicting from her company for 2022. So join us for the next 3 weeks. We've got some really good information coming out to share with you. All right, it's time for the main event. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Let me stop sharing here. This is a participant driven workshop. So you need to, if you don't ask questions, we will sit here and stare at each other's faces. So if you have a question, you're welcome to unmute your mic and ask away. Question. Come on. I'm going to have to call on people if you don't ask questions.
I have a question.
Okay, Marcia.
So it's the new year and I just feel like I'm starting over, just kind of feel defeated. I thought I was going to have a job by the end of the year and didn't. So I'm like, starting over again. So any tips to get back going again?
What are other people doing? What other people recommend?
I started back from ground zero. I've been unemployed for 16 months now. Couple prospects recently, but after the first of the year, I just kind of went back and started hitting all the stuff I used to do that I kind of filtered myself out of, because you only have so much time to, I mean, you could be on these calls all week long. So I kind of circled back through. I hadn't been on a Pat Romboletti call in probably about 6 months. I did that last night. Just tried to restart some of the stuff I was doing early on and kind of self-edited out, just to kind of get, because there's different people in these groups now. And so that's one of the things I did to kind of restart myself after the first of the year.
Okay, thanks.
Marcia, this is John. What are you doing to network?
Oh, I'm horrible at that. So how do I get myself to network?
Okay, so that's a good question. So if you lost your job yesterday, consider it you lost your job yesterday, what would you do today? And so majority of jobs are found by people that you know, not by applying for jobs on Indeed or LinkedIn. Those chances, you can get a job that way, but it's very, very low. But you've got to reach out to your friends and colleagues. And so what I would do, what I'd recommend is reach out to your network. And now's the perfect time. Just send a letter to everybody you know. And you could put it all in one letter and carbon and blind copy everybody and just say, wishing you a happy new year. I'm looking forward to 2022. I'm hoping that I will find my dream job. And I'm hoping that you know somebody in your network that can help you. And I just reach out to your friends, family, neighbors, church members, anybody you know, and say, I'm looking for 2022 to be my great year to find my dream job, and start that way. And a lot of people, if you're not, haven't talked to them in a while, they're assumed that you got a job.
Yeah.
So I would reach out to them and just say, wish them a happy new year, and ask for their help, ask for a prayer, ask for any assistance they can have if they know of any company that's hiring or in the position, in the field that you're in. Go back to your LinkedIn network and go back in there and reach out to old colleagues and just wish them a happy new year and just let them know where you're at.
Yeah, now's a great time to do that. I'm going to put in the chat box right now. It's called a prayer letter for networking. This is something that Kurt Vondermatter talks about when he talks about networking. And this is it's a simple template that what he would recommend you doing is once a month. I recommend every 3 weeks. You put an email out, and maybe it's 2 different emails, one to friend and family, and the other one can be to any of your professional contacts. If you want to make it all one big list, you can. The first paragraph is, you wish everybody a happy New Year's this month, because Tuesday at Frisco Connect, we debated how long is it appropriate to say Happy New Year to people. And we decided that during the month of January, you're allowed to do that. So, take advantage of wishing people a happy New Year. Hopefully that 2022 will be better than 2020 and 2021. And then let people know what you're looking for. And I think one of the important things in the prayer alert and what Kurt talks about and what I recommend is that you need to send this out every 3 to 4 weeks, because you need to remind people that you are looking for a job. The first time they get it, when you're in sales, it takes 5 to 7 contacts before they're actually going to go, oh yeah, I want to buy from you, or I want to see something. I remember a salesperson coming to me, and he came and he told me what he did, and that's fine. And then a couple of weeks later, he came back and showed me the product line. And a couple of weeks later, he came back again just to see if there's any interest. Well, when he showed persistence in trying to sell himself, and you're in sales, you're trying to sell yourself into a job, people then, I sort of remembered who he was. And when I needed to get something, I gave him an opportunity to buy something from him. So by putting out this email every 3 to 4 weeks, and you can go through and read it, you can, get all the details on it. But I think it's a very, very effective tool just to let people know what's going on in your life. And you will find, I know somebody who did this, and they said usually within a half hour, I had a phone call from somebody who I emailed this to saying, oh, I didn't know you were looking for a job with this company, or I didn't realize this is what you're trying to do. So it can be a very simple, beneficial thing to do, but you've got to reach out and network. Networking, very important. Join us this coming Thursday for John McDormand when he talks about networking. That's how you're going to find your next job. 80% of jobs are found through networking.
That'd be great. I would love that email template. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in the chat box, so you should be able to download it. If you're on a PC or Mac, you can open up the chat box and you can download, click on that. It's a Word document, and just remember where you save it as. Remember where you save it on your computer, otherwise you'll be spending hours trying to do that. And if you can't find it, if I remember, I will attach it to the email I put out this afternoon to everybody. What other suggestions do people have about networking? About what to do at the beginning of a new year? Are you doing anything different this year than you did in past?
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
I would just say, don't give up. Just get right back into it. Because yesterday I was just looking through LinkedIn, and I was just surprised. There was someone I worked with at Frito-Lay. They were a director, and they got laid off. Well, we orged out 4 years ago when I did. And I wasn't close to him, but the name, I saw the post and the name, and I said, oh. And they haven't done anything for 4 years, and they just landed a job at a company. And so, I mean, it's possible. And, they're my age too. They're up there between the 55 and 60. And, they were a director at Frito-Lay, and now they're a senior manager at some other company. So, I mean, it's possible. And I had 2 bites. I mean, I came close in December. I had 2 interviews. First one, wasn't really even interested to begin with. Originally, a recruiter contacted me about it. I looked it over, and I don't know, I just went with my gut feel, decided it wasn't for me. But anyway, then after that, the company contacted me directly. So I talked to them and stuff, and it was kind of, not what I was looking for. But the second one went really well. I had my first, both of them, I had my first Zoom interviews. And I think I did really good on them because, all during last summer, the interview workshops I had on Wednesday, just listening. I just felt really confident. I prepared. And anyway, the second one, I followed up 2 weeks later with the manager. And I know it's a big company, so something with HR, going to new systems, the whole thing's on hold. It's not a definite no, but he explained what's going on. He said they're going to have to repost the job. When they repost it, reapply. You won't have to interview again. He said, so let's touch base middle to the end of January. So I'm hopeful. It wasn't just a complete, thanks, but no thanks. So I just say, don't give up, just keep plugging away. I mean, I haven't worked since October 2019. And that's because I left the job I was at. And that was the other thing with this interview. I left the job I was at because it just got to be toxic. And I like to say I was a pioneer in the Great Resignation. I was like a year and a half ahead of everyone else. But anyway, after that, that's the one thing that really bothered me, because I had never done that before in my career. I just had it one day and said, I'm out of here. And I remember I met with Mark over at the church, because he helps coach on that question, why'd you leave your last job? So that kind of got me prepared. it was funny, just in this interview, that's the one thing I had in this interview in December that I was just like so afraid they're going to say, why did you leave your last job? And, you know, I couldn't say I was laid off or this. But one of the things I picked up in the summer, listening to the interview workshop, you know, I sit here kind of multitask listening. And all I was going to say is it was no longer a good fit. And I had my reasons why it wasn't a good fit, professional, you know, job related reasons. But the thing was, it never came up. They never asked. So that was, I mean, that just like totally surprised me, because that's the one thing I was living in fear of, you know, that I'd fumble through that question and, you know, maybe their antennas would go up and, you know, something's not right here. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just keep plugging ahead.
And
Well, and
something
I
else-
think,
Go ahead,
I think
Dan.
too, to keep in mind that, like I was supposed to have a touch base interview with a CEO at a company that I networked into this week, and it got pushed. And I wound up talking to his administrative assistant today, and the whole corporate office is we're back working remote again. And so that brings all this stuff to like, not a grinding halt, but it really throws a monkey wrench in their onboarding and who's next, and like kind of keeping the ball rolling. So kind of keep in mind that a lot of companies are kind of dispersing everybody until probably for the next couple of weeks at least. So
Yeah, so I'm just hopeful. Hopefully, you know, this thing works out. The interview went really well, and you know, I think the workshops you had this summer really helped me out.
Well, Russ, being that you're in the, I think you said upper 50s,
Yeah,
50s to 60s,
57.
you must be the oldest person here on the call today, I think.
Really?
You know, the other thing to consider too, if you're, is maybe start an accountability group, because I think that's also an effective tool to keeping you motivated. You know, if you can find a couple other people, you know, 3 or 4 other people on putting together a group that you can sort of talk about, here's what I did last week, here's what my goals are going to be for this week. I think that will help keep you motivated. And in addition, it gives you a couple other people that you can sort of talk about, you know, on a weekly basis, what you're going to do. We've got a video on accountability groups. We've talked about it in the past. There are some handouts for it and stuff available. You can go back on the Career USA YouTube channel, look on the North Dallas playlist, and you'll find accountability groups as a talk if you'd like to go back and see that. But I think that can be an effective way to, you know, keep your job search going, how to be motivated, because everybody is there to motivate each other.
Well,
Tina, if you want to start a accountability group, I'm for it, because I had one at one time and the people moved on. So if you and I want to start and then select 2 other people, you know, you find one, I find one, let's do it if you're interested.
Stephen, thank you for that offer. If anybody is interested, please reach out to Stephen. And, you know, it's a great
Jeff?
way to do things. And they don't have to be people in this group, and they don't have to be, you know, it's just, they don't have to be people in your same career field. It's just, you know, how can you help each other?
Jeff, this seems to get kind of this comment about accountability groups kind of gets at what I've always thought that the networking groups were really intended to be about, at least at their core, which was the people in the group talking with each other, either sharing job leads or sharing whatever. It, you know, if the group stays together long enough, they begin to you know, kind of get involved in each other's lives in some way. But that's kind of what the core purpose of the groups was about. You know, your groups have kind of gone a little bit beyond that and taken, and all the groups have kind of taken on a little bit more because there's a business of job search, but the core portion of it, core part of it was the people in the group talking to each other and trying to help each other, whether it was specifically a network, an accountability group, or just a you know, a group that got together and talked about what they were after and what they were trying to do, more than a a group therapy session, not quite that, not quite to that level, but at least far enough into it so that you could talk to each other about what you were trying to do. And you get lift off of everybody else from doing that. Partly like what this open forum tries to do, and tries to recapture some of that same sense.
And that's the problem. And that's the thing I hate about these Zoom meetings, is because back when we met in person, you know, I'd be at the church by 10 after 9. People would walk in, we'd start talking about their job search, what was going on. You got to know them for 20 minutes before the meeting started. You know, during the meeting, everybody would give their 30-second introduction, so we all get to know each other. We take that 10-minute break at 10:20, from 10:20 to 10:30, and people, to me, it was the greatest feeling to watch everybody start connecting with other people. Go, oh, I heard you're looking for this. I heard you're looking for that. And people would go reach out and be talking to each other. And then at 10:30, we'd start up with our speaker. So, you know, I really miss that. And that's why I really hope we can get back to that. And then after the meeting, a lot of us would go to lunch together. And I thought that also was very, very effective way to network, because you got to know each other and really find out about who this person is. And I know some people built some, you know, good friendships out of that, being able to help each other long term. So hopefully we can get back to that in the next couple months. I know I'm ready to, I'm tired of sitting here in front of the computer. I'm ready to see you all in 3D.
And with that kind of atmosphere, you naturally would create groups of 3, 4, 5 people where the conversation could flow between the people in the group. And then it was easy to move back and forth between groups and all that. So it was, yeah, and that's, you know, one of the good reasons, you know, for if you're gonna do a Zoom thing, keep it to a small group of 3 or 4 people, so that, you know, everybody has a chance to get in and understand what's going on.
Yeah, and my experience has been, I was on a couple through the fall. I need to look at reforming a couple again, that the guys and gals that were on them have moved on, but they still send me stuff. Like they're still kind of keeping an eye out, because you do develop, you're right, Glenn, that relationship. And even though they've landed somewhere else, I just had someone send me a note last week of something they thought I'd be a good fit for. So it doesn't really stop once people land.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so people helping people is what we're all about.
Yep.
And volunteer work is also a good idea. I mean, we're talking about helping you have emotional resilience, right? And so attaching yourself to something bigger than yourself, accountability group's a good idea, because you become very involved in helping the others find their next role, and they become involved in helping you. But other volunteer activities can work as well. And sometimes they lead to jobs. You know, the people you meet and your volunteer efforts, you know, take up your cause. And then let me say about networking, you know, it's a numbers game. That's what it's a bit of a numbers game. Let's call it that, because, and Jeff compared it to sales. And when I was in sales, they used to tell me, you know, it's kind of like selling tires. I thought that was weird, but it's kind of like selling tires, because you may approach somebody, they don't have any way to help you at the time, but that doesn't mean they won't. Okay. And so something may happen 2 or 3 months from now. They may not remember the letter you sent them 3 months ago. So you have to refresh that. That's why you kind of rinse and repeat and follow up, because when the moment strikes them, or when an opportunity strikes them to help you, they may not remember, but if you were, you know, contact them a week or 2 later, they're going to, oh yeah, you know, a friend of mine told me about this or that or the other thing. So it's a fair amount of rinse and repeat, but that's how it works. That's really how it works.
And I think Mark just talked about emotional resilience, patience. I think that people who are in transition are like, in a way, like a dog every year in real life, but 7 years for us, because I had someone say, hey, they'll call me the next day, and it was a week later. So 7 days later, they call back, because they're busy with work. They're busy with their activities, and your focus is trying to get a job. And so they have 500 things at work that they're working on. And so when they say they'll get right back to you, it might be a week later. So if you send that letter out and you don't hear from somebody right away, don't be offended, don't be discouraged. It's all about, I had someone who said they'd get back with me, and then I found out that, it was with sickness and COVID and other things came up that they didn't get back to me right away. And, what wasn't anything personal, wasn't against me. It was things that they had going on in their personal life. So stay positive. It's not about you. It's, they have things going on.
So Marcia, we got you all set now? You're all motivated now for 2022?
I think so.
More than you ever wanted.
So anyway, no, but I appreciate, yeah, all your thoughts and suggestions. Definitely took a lot of notes here. Got some homework to do.
Good.
Thank
good.
you.
All right, what else can we talk about? How many
Hey, Jeff.
people watched the practice interview on Wednesday? Raise your hand. You watched the practice interview. Anybody here? Oh, just Mark and myself. Oh, Kamara was watching. So
Gotta turn on your camera to raise
yeah,
it.
you got to turn your camera, see. Yeah, otherwise we're not going to know you too. What do you think of it? What do you think of being able to watch a practice interview?
Well, it was really great in the sense we all stumble at some interviews, and it was good to understand our own kind of how we need to tune up. So I will be logging into those to understand the process a little bit more. In some of the interviews I've had in the past, it hasn't been that extensive, but it's still a good practice.
Anybody else watch it and have comments?
Hey, morning.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I went back in the day a couple years ago, so this was a real good startup. Mark's done a good job of rebooting everything. So I'm the oldest one on the website now. I'm just going to rejoin you guys after working for a couple of years. So I'll be on board every time I can. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much. Yeah, I know, it's amazing what, Mark did. I'm just compliments to Mark and the pit crew, keeping it going over COVID and keeping the interviews happening. And I had to twist Mark's arm a little bit to say, all right, let's let everybody watch, because we all can learn from them. I know when I would go on Wednesdays and, when we were in person and being able to watch this, I mean, I learned something every week when somebody would go and say something. It's like, oh, that was great. I got to write that down the way they said that. That was the way they talked about it, or the mistakes that they made. Is like, okay, I got to make sure I don't do that. So I think it's very, very valuable, and look forward to, number one, getting back together and doing this for real in person, but if nothing else, being able to, offer this so you can watch one of these for real at home, I think is very, very beneficial.
And I would say as a pit crew panelist, I pick up tidbits from my fellow interviewers. We've had some really good candidates come through, that just the way they answer questions. So I'm always making notes and that kind of thing too. So that it's definitely a two-way street from a learning standpoint.
Right. Yeah, if you've been a hiring manager and you've hired people, Mark would love to have you on his team. So you're welcome to reach out to Mark.
Yeah, reach out to me, dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. You'll get out of it more than you give, and you'll give a lot. So as Dana said, you learn a lot being on either side of the desk.
Okay, what else can we talk about? Questions somebody else has about your job search? Anyone? Questions?
Hey, Jeff, I just have a general question.
Okay.
I just wondered, do you think that, or you or anyone else think that this great resignation is going to keep rolling on in 2022?
From the statistics I've seen, I think the numbers are going to be pretty big, which means, if the great resignation and people are resigning their jobs, that means there's a lot of job openings, which has got to be beneficial for anybody looking for a job right now. So, I think the last number I think I saw a preliminary, the person who's going to present to us on the 28th, some early statistics that she had was showing that, it could be, 40% of the population, 40% of workers will be looking to change jobs because they're ready to find something new. I think people during COVID sort of hung on to what they had if they could hang on. People who got hired to do something that maybe they don't like. They took something that maybe they don't like and they like to find something else. And I think a lot of people have changed their priorities. What was important to them 2.5 years ago and what's important to them now is different. Work at home a couple days a week, work at home 5 days a week. I think that priorities have changed for a lot of people and people are reevaluating. So there's going to be a lot of job openings, I think, for a lot of 2022.
I do think too, Jeff, I think it depends on what happens in the Supreme Court today with the mandates.
Right.
I think that's going to drive, those deadlines are coming due, and a lot of people don't, I'd say probably about a third of the jobs I've looked at require vaccination status to be revealed. So I think that's going to be a big driver in the first part of the year.
Yep.
It's also interesting too, you see like job postings and stuff now, this whole work from home thing. I think that's taken root. I think a lot of companies, everyone's going to go their different ways. I mean, a lot of them jobs are remote. Some say on site, which some jobs probably you do need to be on site, but that's just the other interesting thing to see how that all pans out. But I think work from home is going to take root and be here to stay.
I think a lot of companies have found out that people can work from home. They can do a good job working from home. My daughter happens to be her job is 100% remote, but yet she misses seeing other people in person. And in November, they opened up an office that you could go if you want to go in, 1 or 2 days a week. She was considering doing that, but then that's all shut down again because of what's going on for COVID for the month of January. So, I think there's got to be a mix. I think people may like to work from home, but there's some people who like to see other people. Go get a piece of candy off somebody else's desk, or go a little bit of water cooler talk. So you don't, it's hard to do that when you're sitting at home all day. There's only so much you can talk to your animals about.
Yes, a lot of the impacts I had in different companies were those moments, just running into each other in the hallway. Loved being by the bathroom because it was kind of like the water cooler, but not quite. Everybody came by during the day and you had an opportunity to share what was going on, find out what was important to them.
Right.
Yeah,
it gets you out of your silo.
Like my brother, he's been an engineer at IBM for 40 years, going on 40 years now. And my older brother, and I mean, he's in upstate New York, but he lives out in the country because he likes the country. But he used to have like at least a 2.5 hour commute every day to get to the IBM site. And for 2 years now, almost with COVID, he's just been working out of his barn. That's his man cave. He has his laptop, uses his phone as a hotspot, and he's been able to do all his engineering work, download the files, do everything an IBM engineer needs to do with, no problem. So he said, I'm never going back. And too, like the gas, the time, he gets all that time back, and he can, give some of it to the company. He says, I'm not burning all this gas every week, wear and tear in the car. So, he said, there's no compelling reason for me to go back. I'll go back once in a while.
And I think that'll be important. I think it'll be important for those good managers to bring your team back together once every couple of weeks, just so people can, see each other and socialize and get to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah, or if he has a supplier meeting or something like that. I mean, but just for everyday work, he said, no way, there's no reason for me to spend 3 hours and 2.5 hours in the car every day.
Right, right. Yeah, I can picture the IBM building up in New York. I used to live in Rochester, New York, so I've seen that building.
Oh, you lived in Rochester?
I did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I lived there forever.
Yeah.
School there.
So what else do we want to talk about? Any questions people have? Stephen, go ahead.
Hi, Happy New Year, everybody. I have questions about Texas Workforce Commission and your unemployment benefits. I don't know how many people are participating in that. I am, and I'm coming to the end of 6 months with that. Do you know if they offer extensions or extensions available?
I
I've
have
reached
not
out to
received an
Kathy Mills
extension.
several times and I've not heard from her, and so I'm just curious.
I can't log in and log my activities any longer. It says mine ended in December. And I got an email saying that they may extend it, but I didn't need to do any actions. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Mine ended in September, and I tried to go back in, and once you've run through your benefit amount, you're pretty much done unless the feds take action.
Okay, so like I was on the Fed program for the first go, that ended June of last year. And now I'm on the state program, and I was just curious if they had any extension after that. So, but you're basically saying, Dan, is that once you meet your dollar threshold, it's see you later.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty much.
That's not really true. I think, Stephen, you said that you could no longer log on to the website.
No, I didn't say that. John said that.
John said
I could log in. I just couldn't submit my activities.
Payment request, John, is that what you're talking about?
You can't
Yes.
make a request for payments if it's all been used. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and then there's no extension or additional funds that you can request from the state?
Not that I'm aware of because the state is the one that runs like the first part of that. In the past, there were federal extensions to that that the state then also coordinated and did, but the funds all the funds come through the federal government anyway. But the first part of that is orchestrated and managed by the state. You can still log onto the website, look at the job boards and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But you can no longer make a request, and making a request for payment is where you do the submission of your job search activities and stuff.
Right. Okay.
So
one's
there's no
aware of-
extensions
Okay.
unless the state offers to do it. And I've kind of heard some noises or heard some things at one time or other about possible extensions, but that's not been done. And anything like that will be announced on the Work in Texas website. Anyway, you'll see all that on there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just seeing what was available in the program. So, so thank you. That was my question.
Somebody else have a question? What would you like to talk about? Anyone? Come on.
And Jeff, I just wanted to follow up on that too. If you can still, as you know, getting back onto the Work in Texas website and logging in periodically and checking the job boards and stuff on there and looking through that stuff will keep your login active. If you don't log in for a period of time, I forget what it is, maybe 2 or 3 months, something like that, it kind of goes inactive. Now, whenever mine starts to go inactive, they always send me I get an email notice about that, and I log back in, and it restarts that clock for being able to do it. So being able to check that the Work in Texas job listings, which covers the entire state, is a useful thing to do.
And I would recommend checking Work in Texas, checking out that website for job listings. Do it once a week. And the reason I say that, number one, it keeps your login active. But number two, I know I was working for a company. I needed to hire somebody. And I found my best candidates through work in Texas. And for an employer, it's free to post to work in Texas. You don't have to pay $600 like you do to Monster or whatever Indeed charges and stuff like that. So it actually, for me, was, where I found the candidate we hired. It was an accounting position, and it was the best candidate because, quite frankly, every candidate that came through the Monster account, they were like, well, I'm really not sure if I'm looking, or where are you located at? I mean, they really weren't looking for a job. They were just on Monster because they just wanted to be there just in case. But the people I found in work in Texas, because if you fill out your profile and you have it all in there, it sure made it, for me, it made it easy to actually go and select somebody, bring them in for an interview.
Yeah.
So
their website's a little tricky to navigate if you're trying to just search around the state for different jobs. I've found it a little bit inconvenient to get to the right sort of thing, but particularly if how you list your job that you're looking for. If you can get you can get to the point where you see a whole lot of things that don't apply because of the way it's categorized, or you can see a whole bunch of nothing because it doesn't get through the tight filters that you set up. So it's a little tricky sometimes to navigate through.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Jeff. So this is a concern for myself as well, to run out the clock that way, because some of the positions that I've had either a phone screening or on-site interview, they're thinking about the hiring process after the first quarter. And things could be further delayed, as you suggested, with COVID, and the supply chain issues and things like that. So I think we are going to all have that same concerns.
Yeah, COVID's the wild card right now. What else? Somebody else have something you'd like to talk about? Questions? Too early to eat lunch. Come on. Going once, going twice. Are we done? We've solved all of the world's issues as far as career-related issues. All right, well, we will, let me share a few screens and we will be done for the day. So next week, we'll talk about branding. We'll talk about your personal branding. How are you telling people who you are, what you do, and how you can help? So Fred's a very motivational, inspirational, positive person. So join Fred. He's currently retired. He's retired. And so what's he doing now? He's teaching people how to play tennis. So that's why he's changed his LinkedIn profile to a picture with tennis rackets in the background. This is what he does to have fun now. So he'll be with us next Friday. If you haven't put your 30-second introductions into the chat box, we ask that you do that. That way we can, I'll publish that with everybody else. We'll get all this information to everybody here in the next hour or two, and see who you can help. And you can, if you want to start an accountability group, reach out to Stephen. If you see somebody on the list that you can help them in their profile, please reach out and do that. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Next Tuesday, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. He will also talk about how much time you should spend on LinkedIn. You shouldn't spend all day on LinkedIn, but you should be able to complete everything you need to do in 15 to 30 minutes every day. But here's some daily things that you want to consider. Please note the event will not be recorded. Terry does not allow his presentation to be recorded. So if you want to see it, you need to watch it live next Tuesday. Next Wednesday, the practice interview team for interviewing Wednesdays. You can watch an actual practice interview. If you'd like to be interviewed, just reach out to Mark. It will only be on Zoom. It will not be recorded to view after the event. So if you want to watch it, you do need to watch it live. And then next Thursday will be being the second Thursday of the month. John McDormand will be with us to talk about how to network from your network. So it's a great presentation for those who, if you don't know John McDormand, he used to teach the Monday night career transition workshop down at Douglas Community Church, whatever, down at right off of Northwest Highway. Very motivational, very inspirational, very, he knows his stuff, and he's been doing this. He's a recruiter and retained search recruiter, and he really knows his thing. So join us next Thursday. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career FW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Otherwise, when you first go to the channel, there'll be just random videos all over the place. But if you click on playlist, up will come the different playlists I've put together: resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group speakers. So if you want to start an accountability group, click on the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group one, and then you can go search down. As you scroll down, you'll see all the different titles, and you can pick the one that talks about accountability groups. So thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend. Go Cowboys, and hopefully we'll hope everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Stephen,
Thanks, Jeff.
comment.
Hi, Jeff.
Thanks
Hey,
again,
Jeff,
Jeff.
what day is the Terry Sullivan thing? Is it next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesday.
Okay, so next Tuesday, the 11th.
Yes.
Okay, great. Happy New Year, everybody. Great to see everybody. Take care.